Hello and welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. One of my previous videos was about how to duplicate instantly a SharePoint list item from your SharePoint list directly. If you remember, if you've seen it, I created a new column, which was a text column, and then formatted it so that it can trigger one instant cloud flow from Power Automate, of course. And then it will take that row from which it was triggered, and then it will duplicate it in the same list. Many comments later, people asked me that if I can do something similar for files. No? They want to see how we can do this with files and move a file from, for example, like a parent library to a child library, and then also copy its metadata. So that's something that we're going to see today. The flow is already built, so I'm not going to build it from scratch. I'm just going to walk you through, and I hope you liked it. If you do so, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and also that you like the video. And I'm also going to link the previous video so that you can check that out if you haven't yet. Thanks for watching and also have fun. So here we are in my library, my SharePoint library, which I've called invoices parent, and I've uploaded here two PDF files. I also have some columns, some metadata. Actually, I created this library not from scratch. I created it from a template, and I think it was something called invoices or something like that. So I created this library twice, one called invoices parent and once called invoices child, because I want to simulate that copying from one library to another one, and I wasn't very creative with the naming, so sorry about that. But nonetheless, I have also went and created one extra column. Let's see the settings. It's a plain single line of text column, and I've called it copy file. And what I did is I went here to the column settings and I said format this column. And in the, so this is the custom design. I created this JSON code here, which I'm going to copy in the video description, so you don't have to write it down from here. And here in the action parameters, I am executing a flow and I'm passing the flow ID. So what you need to do first, if you followed the video before as well, is the same method. Now you need to create the flow first, save it once, because after that you get that ID of the flow, and then you can paste it in here so that this trigger executeFlow action will trigger your flow, right? So you need that. Yeah, after you have written it here, one more thing that I changed was this attribute iconName. So we have here, if we go to this website, which contains all these Fluent UI icons, only thing I did is I created, let's go to this one, is I selected another icon instead of the one that we used before in the previous video, and I went for this CopyEdit icon. So if you search for that, you will find that this one is the one that I've been using. So you can leave it as it is. I'm going to copy that code anyways in the video description and use this CopyEdit icon because it makes sense since we're copying files and this icon is showing two files, right? And we're editing or also copying this metadata. That's why it made sense for me. But if you want, you can search here for file and maybe use whatever icon you want, right? Let's see, for copy, you have also this one without the pen or the pencil, which is just copy. And what you need is the name that you can see here, right? So see this copy. If I take that and paste it in here and say preview, you will see that we have now this other icon, right? So if I go back and take my original one, I can put it back there, paste it, preview it, and I have that other icon. So this is a very quick and an easy way to change these icons here in the line by formatting the column. So I'm going to cancel that because I don't want to do any changes. And so what I have is also, as I said, the same library built exactly the same. Only difference is that I'm showing here the ID, and of course I don't have any trigger column for the flow. This is only in the library from where I want it to be triggered. You can do this also two ways. So this is now going only from parent to child. You can do this also in two ways, okay, both ways. So you just need to recreate this column in the invoices child and then say that in the flow, which we're going to see in a second, that the create item and update metadata will happen in the parent list then. So you can also move from child to parent list. If it makes sense, it's up to you, based on your use case, but this is how I went to do it. And yeah, everything else in the SharePoint list is, in the SharePoint library is standard. And the magic happens actually in the Power Automate workflow, which we're going to see now. So here we are in Power Automate, and I've already built the flow. I just want to show you the name of the trigger because for some reason Power Automate changes that name after you have saved it, and you're going to see that in a second. So what we are using here is for a selected file. Not for a selected item, because that's the one we used in the video before, where we duplicated items, SharePoint list items. Now we're working with files, that's why we need to go with this one for a selected file. Now let's jump to the finished flow. And as you can see, here we are in my already completed flow, which I'm going to show you how this works. And that's what I meant. For some reason, Power Automate renamed this to manual. No, actually is that trigger that I just showed you. But yeah, if you start by that trigger, you will be able to see the original name. It renames it later on. And then what you need to do here is, of course, to put your site address and also your library name from which you are going to trigger your Power Automate workflow. And since it's expecting also manual input, that's why it's called manual here probably, you can also add here different input. Yeah, you can allow here different inputs from the user. But we're not going to use that for now because we don't need it. And what you need to do next is you need to get the file properties from that file from which you triggered it. No? In this case, you will get, if we trigger this one, it will get the file properties from this row here, from this file. And you need to say which site address, which library, obviously, that's always the same. And then you pass here the ID from the trigger body, so from the triggered item. So it knows which item to grab, not which file. And then since in the file properties, the file content, file properties, we have all this information here, who it was created from, when, and so on and so forth. So all the metadata is in there, but not the file content itself. So in the PDF itself, it's not there yet. That's why we need to say get file content. And what you can input here is, of course, the site address and the file identifier. That's something very easy you can find. Just search for identifier in the properties and then dynamic entries. And then you have it here from the get file properties, you have the identifier. Something you place there, and then it gets also that file content. We are done with getting the information. Now we need to put it in the new SharePoint library. So for that reason, we created here a new action called create file. And this is how it's going to work. So you put here the site address and also the folder path. And the file name is a bit tricky because if you see, let's go to the dynamic entries here and search for file name, you will see that we have here the name from get file properties or the file name here from manual. And we have two. We have this one, and let's grab the other one as well. And we have this one. So this one has this entity file name, and this one has just trigger body file name. I don't know why, but in my case, and the first one is mine, worked only with the entity file name. I don't know, I got errors here with this one. So just to be sure, select the one which has also entity in the first level of that JSON response so that you can be sure that it will work. But try it out, maybe it works for you with the other one as well. For me it didn't, so I'm going with this option. And then last but not least, of course, the body from file content, so which we get here from get file content. And this will create the file, but as we know, when we create the file, it will just create this part here, right? So it will put here the file with its content so you can view it, but all this metadata will be missing, right? So we want this to be filled out here as well. For that reason, we do an update file properties where we select here the site address and the library name of the destination, in this case invoices child, and we put here the ID, which is coming from here, as you can see, the create file, no, because we created the file, and then we need to say on which item, on which file ID you want to update these properties. And then I start updating the properties. The due date is here and not here because it's a mandatory field in my case. That's why it's showing here, similar as ID and library name and site address. All the mandatory fields are above, right? Because you cannot clear all, you cannot collapse them, but the rest it's not mandatory, so you can even leave them blank. In my case, I'm also filling them all out based on the columns that I have in my parent list. And that's it. If you save it, which is in my case already saved, and go to your SharePoint library, normally after finishing this workflow, you will have the flow ID, which is this one here. Because you have saved it, you get this flow ID, then you will go and create this column, right? And then you will place it in the format section, which I showed you at the beginning. So now that you have all of that, you created all your also here this custom column. What you can do is just click on this button, right? And on the right hand side, it will pop up a small window, which will ask you, firstly, for me, not anymore, if you want to share this connection, if you want to connect to the SharePoint connector in Power Automate, and you can accept that. And then all you need to do after doing that once is to click Run Flow. This will now show you a small notification here, started flow. You can click that away. And if you go to your child SharePoint library and refresh, you will see that you have all this information here, which were just created. Let's see here, created, apply a few seconds ago. This is how you can instantly duplicate files from one SharePoint library to another one with metadata. I hope you liked it. I hope it helped. If you did so, please make sure that you subscribe to the channel and that you give a like to the video. And yeah, let me know in the comments what you think about this solution. If you have any questions or if you need anything else, just let me know in the comments and I will try to help you as soon as possible. Thanks for watching, have fun, and catch you on the next video. Bye.